you know, be useful in teaching people a little bit. Did you learn anything? Just raise your hand. Did anyone learn anything that they didn't know from it? Most of you are pretty well informed already. Is it something you could see using with either a younger classroom group or a church group, perhaps? Any reactions to it? Yeah.
I hate to be cynical, but you know, I've seen various nonprofits. The best way to appeal to people is to have kids in it. And you didn't show homeless children or children living in, you know, places they shouldn't be living. I think that would have really, in terms of selling the message, would be very useful.
So kids, the needs of children are more appealing than the needs of seniors.
Yep.
Good point, yeah.
Okay, that's a fair comment. Yeah.
One of the objections that I hear from people is that lowers the cost.
Well, you'll see, and I'm not going to show this now, but under the myths and facts, they have 3 separate vignettes in addition to the major one, and one of them is called Myths and Facts, and it goes into that myth, which is absolutely a myth. I mean, the studies have shown that if anything, the opposite is true. That if you're creating affordable housing, then basically it decreases values and doesn't lower them. Because good affordable housing replaces slums. And so it is a myth, but it's something people believe. And there's a lot of other, you know, why are people so adamant? You know, in my business, I mean, home is into the housing discrimination business, and I know that a piece of it has racial characteristics. I mean, here in Cincinnati, the assumption is that folks living in it are going to be low-income African Americans, and that often objections to Section 8, not always, but often objections to Section 8 or affordable housing are objections from communities who don't want low-income African Americans as real racial overtones. But there are other reasons that folks' honest, you know, perceptions about affordable housing are different. The sense that if you put a face on it, if you see the people, that you no longer have the stereotype that it's this lazy person who just doesn't want to work. And I don't know how many times you hear this. You know, the assumption is everyone who is getting its assistance is just a lazy person who didn't want to work. And then, you know, I as a taxpayer should not be supporting them. And in fact, most of the people are working people. You know, rents are high, but the market is such that the market is higher than the incomes are. Something's got to give. I mean, either you have housing that is pure slums that someone can rent for $200 a month because it's all apart, or else somebody in the system is going to have to support those rents and help create the affordable housing that folks can live in that is decent and safe. Because we are not paying many people, even working people. What was the number, $12.50 an hour or something like that? You know, and that's just average. I mean, that's to afford a 2-bedroom house, apartment. And heaven help you if you have more kids who need something larger than a 2-bedroom. But a lot of people are working really hard, really dedicated, and don't make, you know, $12.50 an hour in order to do that. And David?
Elizabeth, when you do presentations, just one suggestion. I was wondering if it would be helpful to have somebody with you that can tell the story, because I know sometimes besides showing the video, sometimes feel people telling their story. Like I said, that whole thing about mess, I mean, it's not a miracle here, but it helps. I think people say relate to it.
Right. I think that's absolutely true, Dave, and that's the most...
Could you repeat the question?
Okay. The question and comment was that it helps then in presenting to have a person with us who actually lives in affordable housing, needs it, such as the folks that were on the movie. I think the idea, Dave, was that we can't always do that, although that's ideal to be able to talk personally, one-on-one, that the movie gives us a way that we can get out to a lot of different locations and they can hear their stories. But that is absolutely true. And I've had the experience, particularly in community meetings where people are ranting about how Section 8 is going to destroy our neighborhood and we can't allow these people here. You know, I can remember at least 2 occasions where there has been a person, and I remember particularly the one woman who had spoken up earlier in the meeting a couple times. She was in a wheelchair in the back of the room. She started crying and had to leave the room. I had no idea. I just thought she wasn't feeling well. Well, she comes back in and she tells the room, "You're talking about me. You know, I have a Section 8 voucher and you just called me all those names." And, you know, it just changes the conversation. I mean, all of a sudden it's, "Oh, honey, I didn't mean you." Well, who did you mean? You know, you said everybody on Section 8 was awful and was going to do this. I won't destroy your neighborhood. And all of a sudden the whole discussion begins to change. It takes on a different tone. And people look at it. I mean, there may be symptoms, there may be problems that need to be addressed with a particular housing development or a program, but it ends up looking at what those specific problems are and doesn't become this just broad brush, you know, or just all the people that are in the meetings. So absolutely, I mean, talking to the individuals makes a huge difference in who you're talking to.
I think one of the strengths of the film is that the apartments that they show are quite attractive. And they're a lot nicer than my house.
But you know, people will object to that, saying, you know,
Yeah.
if they can afford that and I can't afford that, and I mean,
Right, yeah, the comment that people would actually object to the fact that they were nice looking, that if you're poor, you ought to just have poor stuff, and I don't want you to have something as nice as what I have. One of the myths that they also talk about in there is the idea that, you know, that affordable housing is cheap looking, and that it's run down and doesn't fit into the neighborhood. And anymore, that is not the case. And frankly, in our area, so much of our housing is old, that particularly if you're building new affordable housing, some of the new developments that CMHA has built, the new senior developments, Walton Grove, they showed there, out in Springdale, and the new one that they've done in Mount Healthy are gorgeous, and basically are raising the standard for the whole neighborhood by the quality of the development, which is shown. So it's very much true. It's also true that even on the voucher program, the Section 8 voucher program, you know, they showed pictures of the inspectors going around and check. But you said it looked nicer than your, my house, I'm sorry, but my house would not pass a Section 8 inspection. I mean, they are so strong about what they expect and what they don't expect that some of my deferred maintenance would make my house fail. You know, one of those inspections. They're very tough and they tend to be, you know, the better properties because of that. If they're not, they very quickly, you know, they're removed in front of them. John?
I was thinking, is it possible that you might get several community councils to sponsor a program or have a card like they for the community council, particularly in neighborhoods that are touchy about it? And the other thing I thought of, when it does mention the list, I don't think it said there's about 2,000 people on the list and it gets closed. So it doesn't really say how much unmet need there is, it just says there's a lot.
There's a lot, right. It doesn't get into the numbers. And actually, right now, if you're talking about the Section 8 voucher list, there's about 13,000 names on it. And they project that it will be 5 years or more before it's even opened again. And interestingly, the number of vouchers is being cut back in Hamilton County. They hope not to have to kick any family off the program and pull the subsidy, but as there is turnover, they're not reissuing vouchers, and that's because of budget cuts, federal budget cuts. CMHA's budget is going down. It's not just now, the last several years it's been going down, even more substantially this year. And so, as of several months ago, they began, as vouchers are turned in, they do not reissue them. And so the total number of families that would be able to take advantage of that is going to decrease. And they have not put out numbers, I'm not sure exactly by how much, but it's a matter there will be less of